welcome back everybody to another video. Today we are back for another episode predicting whatever NFL's team upcoming season for 2021 and 2022. Today we are on to the Jacksonville Jaguars, wrapping up the AFC as a whole. We're in the final division, AFC South, and the Jaguars were the worst team in that division last year, so of course we are starting with them. They were 1-15, but they got Trevor Lawrence in the draft, so that might be able to change. Moving on though, if you guys like football at all, or that be video games like Madden or real life football like NFL, all this kind of stuff, I do both. So be sure to hit the subscribe button so you never miss any of my football content at all. I try to upload daily, at least as much as possible. I know for Madden 22 I'll be able to get a lot more of that out because right now obviously there's nothing on that game. So if you guys have subscribed to me for Madden, I promise when Madden 22 drops and I can get my hands on it, which I've already pre-ordered and everything, we'll be doing No Money Spin again, content reviews, content, all content predictions, all that kind of stuff. So don't worry about it. And if you guys are subscribing to me for this stuff, once again, don't worry because I'm doing this all throughout the year. And I mean, if you're liking these videos right now, the season isn't even going on, so it's only gonna be more videos as soon as the season starts and everything. So got a lot in store. So make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. If you have not seen one of these videos yet, though, pretty much I just do a quick recap of 2020, certain players, things like that, and I go back to the top. Come back down and predict stats for this upcoming year and the season as a whole, and I give an overall record and just how I see the season going. So for the Jaguars, passing is certainly very, very interesting. So Gardner Minshew played 9 games. He started 8 of them. Mike Glennon played 5 games, and Luke Lutton played 3. So it's interesting. Minshew has 16 touchdowns and 5 interceptions on 2,259 yards. Glennon had 1,072 yards on 7 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. And Luke Lutton had 624 yards on 2 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. So, looking at this, not really any quarterback had a good year. Minshew had the best, but if he played all 16 games, he's on track to have a not great year regardless. Mike Glennon nearly had the same amount of touchdowns as interceptions and couldn't get either to double digits. And then Luke Lutton had a significantly more interceptions than touchdowns. So a good thing Trevor Lawrence is. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to recap any more of this because I would be shocked if Trevor Lawrence is not starting week 1. So we're just going to move on from that to a more brighter point in this team, and that is James Robinson, who I believe was undrafted. He had 1,400 yards from scrimmage. He had 1,070 rushing yards and 344 receiving yards, 3 receiving touchdowns, and 7 rushing touchdowns. Absolutely awesome year from him. You cannot ask much more from an undrafted running back. He had 10 touchdowns combined and 1,400 yards from scrimmage. I mean, that is a great year from your running back. That dude, he carried, I mean, they only got 1 win, but he carried the offense for those quarterbacks that were struggling. He was a huge option for them. And also, another brighter point, though, DJ Chark, who had 706 yards from scrimmage, all of which was receiving, and he had 5 touchdowns. Keelan Cole had 644 yards from scrimmage, all of which were receiving except for 2, and he had 5 receiving touchdowns. That's kind of it, though. Their tight end, I believe, was Tyler Eifert, who had 349 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns, so an okay year. Really, they just kind of rely more on their receivers and their running back, which didn't work out the best, but it did show that James Robinson has potential to be a star in the NFL. I do think DJ Chark has potential. He has to just keep improving. He did only play 12 games, or 13 games, I believe. And so if he played 3 more games this past year, he could have had over 1,000 yards. I think he probably would have, honestly. And this coming year, he's actually going to be able to play 4 more games. So for Chark, I see a better year for sure. James Robinson hopefully can put up those numbers once again. And I'm not predicting yet though. Recapping though, obviously there are some good points here and there are bad, but I do think this is much better from the passing section we looked at. And then defensively, so for the defensive line, Dwayne Smoot had 17 QB hits and 5.5 sacks. So honestly, pretty good year for him right there. He was honestly easily their sack leader. The second closest person was their linebacker Joe Schobert, who had 2.5 sacks. And honestly, Joe Schobert was the interception leader for the team. He had 3. Second was Andrew Wingard, who had 2. And then from there, Sidney Jones also had 2. And then from there, just kind of sprinkled in one, and that's pretty much it, honestly. So the secondary, I think, definitely needs some work. Joe Schobert, Miles Jack, though, had very good years. Joe Schobert had 141 combined tackles, and Miles Jack had 118. And he also had an interception there as well. Can't forget Miles Jack, who I believe the Jaguars also just had a big extension for him, I think. I believe he signed for multiple years. So that's huge addition right there. He's a big part of that defense, so definitely the right decision. They also, in the draft, went after and got Travis Etienne, which I think is interesting because I really think they needed more of a corner, maybe, someone in the secondary. And even weirder, I know he was teammates with, Trevor Lawrence, but James Robinson put up these numbers and you draft a running back. That's kind of disrespectful to him. Unless they were planning on running, 2 running backs or something like that. But guess what? I'm already getting to this coming year, so let's just go back up to the top real quick. Because, I got to do the same format as all my other videos. So, predicting, or this upcoming year pretty much, passing, like I said, I'd be shocked if Trevor Lawrence is not starting. So, for Trevor, I think he is a serious offensive rookie of the year contender. Assuming he plays all 16 games, I could see him getting around, let's see, Justin Herbert last year, he won it with, I think, 4,300 passing yards and 30-plus touchdowns. Trevor Lawrence, I think, has not even close to being the same targets as Justin Herbert has. So we're going to say Trevor Lawrence, if he does as well as I think he can, he's going to get around 25 touchdowns, probably 6 or 7 interceptions in there. But also, I want to say 3,200 passing yards, something like that. I think it's a pretty solid prediction for Trevor Lawrence. I think he could definitely win Rookie of the Year, but it's going to be much harder harder for him to, rather than like Justin Herbert, who I'm not trying to discredit him at all, but just, looking at the facts, if you compare Herbert's targets last year to who Trevor Lawrence is going to be targeting this year, Herbert has way better targets by a landslide. So, not discrediting him, he's still a great quarterback. It's just going to be much harder for Trevor Lawrence too, because he's working with some different players for sure. But I do think he can still have a great year. And honestly, they're 1-15 this past year. As long as he wins 2 games, it's an improvement. Success and improvement takes time. He's not just going to come in. At least I don't think he's going to come in and get 15 wins, Super Bowl trip, all that kind of stuff. But as long as it's better than this past year, it's really all you can ask for from a rookie quarterback coming in and starting for your team. So that's for Trevor Lawrence. James Robinson, he had a great year. I'm not really going to predict his stats really specifically because I think this is honestly what he's probably going to get next year as well, around the same. So I don't want to be like, oh no, yeah, 2 yards less or something dumb like that. I think it's about probably similar numbers. Travis Etienne, if they plan on running a 2 running back set, really kind of using Etienne, because Etienne was great for receiving out of the backfield at Clemson. He did both really, really well. He did really well rushing and really well receiving. And Robinson did well with both as well. So really, they have 2 targets out of the backfield. That's a huge help for a rookie quarterback, especially kind of boosting his confidence a little bit. So I'm not going to predict Etienne stats again because I'm not really sure what they're going to use him for. I'm not going to predict Robinson as well. But we will go down to DJ Chark, though. I think this past year, he kind of struggled, I think, with injuries a little bit. But this year, assuming he plays all 16 games, 1,200 receiving yards and probably about 10 touchdowns. 10 interceptions would be pretty impressive, though, from a wide receiver. They also brought in Tim Tebow, and I know people have their opinions about this. But first off, the college he played at was Florida, okay? And Urban Meyer was his coach. Urban Meyer is now the Jaguars coach. That is pretty much the only reason they signed him, is because Urban Meyer knows him. He knows the character Tim Tebow has and the fire he has in him. I don't think they are expecting him to go out there and outplay Darren Waller and Travis Kelce as people are making it seem, because that's just, if you think that, I'm sorry to crush your dreams, but that's not what they're going to use him for, I don't think. I really don't think they're going to be like, you know what, new best tight end in the league right here, easily. No, they're going to use, I'm sure he'll get in. I think it'll be really interesting to see if he gets in for trick plays, because obviously he used to play quarterback, so he could definitely bomb the ball down the field. But I think he'll get in for trick plays. I think in the red zone, he'll be, he's a big dude. He's a big target. So I could see him getting in the red zone and things like that. I really don't think he's going to be trying to rival Travis Kelce and have that big of a year. He's also a huge leader. I think he's going to be huge in the locker room, really getting everybody fired up, boosting some confidence, especially after the year they just had, trying to put that behind them. He can definitely help with that. So if you're looking at Tim Tebow and be like, why is he here? Like, yeah, it seems weird, but Urban Meyer knows him. He knows what he brings to the table. If he doesn't go out there and have, you know, a 20 touchdown season, like, don't be shocked. That's not what he's there for. He'll get probably 2 or 3, something like that. So that's as far as Tebow goes. I had to mention because obviously that was a big deal. He's coming back after, like, not playing in close to a decade and then switching positions. But he looks to be in good shape. You know, he works hard, so hopefully he has a good year to be pretty cool. Obviously, I don't think a lot of quarterbacks have switched to tight end and then had a successful year doing that. But maybe he will. You never know. But my point there is that he is there for other reasons than just playing tight end. So, yeah, DJ Chark, I think, will be a big receiver or big target for Trevor Lawrence. I really think he'll be a big target. Keelan Cole will be the second biggest target. And I think their 2 running backs will also be there. They're going to have a very unique offense. I really do believe that Lawrence is going to look a lot to his running backs out of the backfield, and I think in the red zone he's going to look to his tight ends a lot, like Tebow if he gets in there, Eifert if he gets in there, because they're both big guys and stuff like that. So I think they're going to have a very unique offense. Should be really fun to watch. Not sure if they'll come out there and have an insane year, but we'll cover that in just a second. Defensively, Miles Jack, in spirit of him just getting, you know, a huge extension, we'll predict him. I think he's going to get probably about 135 plus combined tackles, so even more than this past year. We'll say two more interceptions, make it 3, kind of like Schobert. I think Schobert stayed in there. I don't think he left. Maybe he did. I just checked. Pretty sure Schobert's still there. So as long as he keeps doing his thing, you know, he's a big part of that defense. And I think really the defense needs a lot of work, but they do have some pieces, some key pieces. They just have to build around them. Get guys that don't need anymore out of there, get the young guys in, and it's just going to be a rebuilding process, just kind of how it goes. But I feel like I say this in a lot of my videos that I'm not predicting 5 years down the road because honestly the Jaguars have a bright future, I think. I don't think, you know, not this next year because that's just not how it goes typically, but I do think years down the road they will be able to kind of rebuild as long as they play their cards right, rebuild, get players they need. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is definitely the right step. James Robinson is just a huge piece of that team now. Obviously, being undrafted, I think he's always going to carry that with him and try and work his hardest all the time, which is great. So I do think this team will be good in the future. Whether that future is like this soon as this upcoming year, I personally don't think so. So my record for them is probably around 4 wins. I see 4-13 being their record. But you know what? That is better than 1-15. I think they're going to have glimpses of what they can be. I think Lawrence is going to have a very solid year. I think James Robinson is going to have another really great year. Hopefully, Chark comes back, is able to play every game and just kind of shows out, gets over that 1,000 yards like I'm hoping he will. So the Jaguars, I think, do have a bright future. I just don't think it's just this soon as this upcoming year. But we'll have to see. That's why you love sports. It's pretty unpredictable, but I'm doing my best to predict that. So if you guys did enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like, hit the subscribe button so you guys never miss any of my football videos. We are wrapping up the AFC and then we're on to the NFC. So everybody that's been waiting for their team for a while, I'm sorry, but I'm getting there. I am getting all these things done, all these teams done. Then we'll get into other kind of videos that I have lined up for this real NFL stuff. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next one. Peace out.